Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our Real Estate Backstory. This time not coming to you from one of our offices. So we hope that you did have a very wonderful Thanksgiving and nice time with your family. One thing that we do want to kind of stress and kind of encourage you to do is that even though this is the holiday season and it's all about family time, it really is also, now's the time, the relationships that you build and the outreach that you do into your database, into the folks that you know, that's what's going to fuel you going into the first part of the year. We're here right at the end of November. We're going to be going through December. We lose a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of marketing time. Normally in December, the week of Christmas is pretty much like snoozeville in the real estate world, that kind of stuff. That week between Christmas and New Year's, and even the week moving up to Christmas, it's just a slower time. But that being said, it might be slower time transaction wise, but now is the time to build engagement. We need to be focusing on building stronger customer relationships, reaching out with the folks and letting them know really what's going on with the market, what we're really seeing. We know that real estate is cyclical, and we know that market cycles that's probably the only constant we have is change.
And with that said, just want you to know, in 2020, last 2 years is one of the largest real estate agents that have come into an industry. But what they're projecting is that for 2022 and 2023, there is going to be a large masses of agents that will leave the industry as well, just because we're in that shift.
Well, but we don't want to see that happen to you, and that won't happen to you as long as you focus on the fundamentals, being brilliant at the basics. Those kind of things are going to be so important for us moving forward here, kind of thing. So I want to kind of jump over, like a really hard transition here, directly over into green certifications. And so we want to talk about, I know it's kind of a weird segue here, but like there's a lot of different green certifications that well, let's see, I bet you, how about I share the correct screen this time? We'll try that. How about that?
It's Sunday morning.
Yeah, and obviously we're not in our normal place. So, but let's talk about green certifications, because there's really 5 that, in my opinion, kind of stand out that we need to be knowledgeable about. So the first one is LEED, LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. That's probably, for a long time, it's kind of been the gold standard on building, in green building, but it focuses on sustainability, construction, ongoing operations kind of thing. WELL, WELL, that focuses on a home's health, how healthy a home is. And it goes all the way down to like how well you sleep and things like that. Then there's another one called a Living Building Challenge kind of thing. And so this is for basically, this is for those off-grid kind of folks, our doomsday preppers really care about sorry, I'm being funny. Energy Star is probably the one that is probably the easiest when it comes to that, because, it's like to get certified as Energy Star. Now, the only building that can be Energy Star will be a commercial building can be Energy Star. But for the vast majority of our clients, what we really like is what's called the HERS Index. I can't speak.
And that's actually MLS listing, just so you know.
Yeah, HERS kind of thing. And so this is a home energy rater. So the home energy rating system, and basically what this index does, and the reason that this green certification matters to our buyers and our sellers is this, this is relevant to how much more or less this home costs to operate than other homes on the market or being listed, that kind of stuff. So right now, only around, I think it's around, 3 million of homes have been certified. We're seeing a lot of new construction coming out this way. There's more coming up, and we are seeing more going in. And it's one of those things where like I think everyone wants to be environmentally friendly. But really, at the end of the day, what's going to be the big driving force is what influences your pocketbook. And
Absolutely.
so that's why that's why our feeling is that the HERS index is one of those that this is a good one to be knowledgeable of. And like Ming said, it's already showing up in a lot of different real estate listings. We see it listed on certain places, but a lot of realtors don't really understand what it means to be green. And for the vast majority of folks, it's how does that impact my pocketbook? Kind of thing.
And so if you have a rating of 130, meaning it's 30% more efficient than your average standard new
Actually,
home.
it's 130 is less efficient. 70% is 30% more efficient. Yeah, close, but back. All right, so interest rates are continuing to kind of hold where they have been, kind of thing, and so we're in the mid sixes right now. And
it's still better than a 7.
It is remarkably better on there, kind of thing. And as such, we've seen a jump in mortgage applications from they're up to about 2.5%. And so that's look, for the first time in like 7 months have we seen an increase in mortgage applications. And so again, we know,
y'all. And with that said, that means your client is looking and they're just waiting on the interest rate to drop so they can lock it. So please continue to look for the homes that your client wants. And when time is right, they'll jump on it really quick.
Yep. Now, on the commercial side, the U.S. banks are tightening their lending standards. And so what we're seeing is, and what you can see on the graph, all those little red marks, those are when we've headed into a recession. And our feeling is we're probably moving into a recession right now. That doesn't mean we're in a housing recession. Housing's been leading the way already. It's not like we're going to get impacted again, kind of thing. But just because it's a recession does not mean that this
Correct.
is going to be bad for housing necessarily, because normally we see interest rates. And right now, we're seeing the home sales are artificially tight, largely because interest rates are so crazy high. But on the commercial side, one of the reasons we wanted to highlight this is like nothing in the commercial world happens unless you get financing. Make sure that for all your commercial clients, financing needs to be
priority. Number one is more important than your residential financing, because you have no due diligence, any contingency after the due diligence period.
Okay. Now, speaking of lenders, Ribbon is somebody that we as a company and a lot of our agents have a very good relationship with Ribbon, and they've laid off 85% of their staff.
That's
so
a lot.
They went from having 300 folks down to 30. And so they're down significantly. We used to have Ribbon coming into our offices and sponsoring CE classes and sales meetings, and now they're down. And that a couple of things. One is the days of cash is king. I think cash is always going to be king, but that being said, that's not the driving force right now for our marketplace.
The way the Ribbon works is that it's large down payment with the high interest rate. Buyers just don't have that excess money.
Yep.
And like I mentioned before, that buyer was saving during COVID time. Guess what? Now it's not so COVID, and everybody's taking their entertainment shopping, and their saving has dwindled.
Yeah. So we are seeing a lot of I don't think we have any offers with Ribbon right now on properties at the moment. I'm not saying that they're but it's way down from where it was. Not that that's bad or anything like that. There's still times when this is going to be right. The company's not in bad shape. We're not saying anything's going on like that. We're just seeing that it's very indicative of how the market is shifting, and that's changing buying patterns.
Correct.
Now, this is going across the board in investor, because at the same time, investor purchases are dropping and have dropped. Investor purchases as nationwide are down about 30%. And so, as with the market volatility, the investors have really, really pulled out. And so, on one hand, I'm glad. Right, because we haven't had enough inventory. We still don't have enough inventory, and I don't really want to be competing with investors. And honestly, most investors don't want to compete with single family buyers as well.
Right.
And so overall market share is going down. You can see what's happened with market share. As far as like investor market share over the past several years, the past 20 years here, and you can see that it's been steadily increasing. And so there's been a pretty significant drop. Now, the good news, in my opinion, is that, as far as like what segment of investing, it's in single family residential is where it's really dropping down.
Mhm.
And so, and that's good for those of us in the residential world, because
Correct.
it's less competition overall, down about 30%, 32% of investors buying. Now, that also, like the other thing that we have to be conscious of is in dealing with our listings and for our sellers. We still have a lot of sellers, I mean, just like a week or two ago, we had a seller who's like, look, I really want to get an all cash offer, no financing, no due diligence. Yeah, well, I mean, just want to be honest with you, that's not the market that we're in, right? Plus, at closing, everything's cash anyway. But that being said, the number of investors buying, on one hand, good, because we're not competing as much. On the other hand, for a lot of our sellers who are thinking like, I don't want to deal with financing, I don't want to deal with this, I don't like that's not the reality of it either. We're seeing where investor purchases, all cash purchases, we sell where ribbons down. That's an impacting our marketplace right now. So overall, and so this is just for the largest declines in investor purchases for the last quarter. And you see Atlanta's down 42%. And so you can see that
which is good news, because that means our actual homeowner have the opportunity to purchase.
Yeah, but now understand that we were already one of the highest investor segments in the nation. We're still 27% of homes are purchased through investors right now. So 1 out of 4 still. Mm-hmm. So it's still like, don't think the investors are gone. They're just holding back. I mean, they're just kind of waiting. They're just waiting for the opportunity. They're just kind of sitting there, kind of checking things out, as it were. So as far as some other numbers here, nationwide median sales price is up about 2%. Now, in contrast, we see that the asking price is up still about 5%. And so we still have that disconnect between list price versus sale price out there. And we always have a certain level of that. I don't care what it is. There's always been
seller coming down from their high, selling high, so to speak. Yep. And so, they're just, until their house sits on the market for a little bit of time, they won't see the reality of it.
Yep. So pending sales are down 35% year over year. It's following normal trending patterns. We're still up over where we were in 2019 and 18 and that kind of stuff. But still, when you look at it compared to the last 2 years, it still looks
not
crazy.
A benchmark.
And so, but you can also see that this is what's going on with showing time data, because I wanted to kind of show like what are the what are the data points that represent here. And so you can see what's happened with overall showing activity. Now, a lot of this is seasonal, right? We know that going into it, the week of Thanksgiving, always a drop. Week of Christmas. December. I mean, look what happens. Look what happens. That week between Christmas and New Year's, same kind of thing. It falls off a cliff. So we know that kind of going into this. So overall, though, we are seeing where demand is down, and we know that that's largely driven by our interest rates right now. So new listings of homes is down 20%. And so we're seeing where so many folks are waiting. And one of the big reasons why they're not listing is because for the vast majority of borrowers, they are 1 to 2% below current mortgage rates. And so you can kind of see in the past, the past 20 years, like for the folks with our interest rates, we have so many folks. It's like, well, gosh, I can go and get and now granted, it's much better at 6.5 than it was at 7.5. But at 6.5, I got a rate of 4.5. I don't really want to give that rate up,
right?
Kind of thing. And so we see that that's definitely driving some of the forces that we see affecting our market. So active listings is up 12%. And so that's actually a good thing. We need more listings. Total listings is up. That being said, we're still under 2020 and we are, we're drastically down. I'll show you how much we're down comparative kind of thing. So right now we're at 3.5 months of supply. Now this is nationwide. Here for the Atlanta area and for Georgia, we're down. Well, I mean, we're sitting at about 2.6 months of standing inventory. So Georgia is not, we're a little bit tighter on the supply side than the rest of the country is, which
Our
is,
demand's still a little higher than the
Yeah.
rest of the country.
yeah, Sun Belt. So overall, total inventory right now remains below like before, y'all remember before COVID? And so we're down almost 40%. So the number of listings we have now from in 2019. And so, yes, when you look at compared to 2020, compared to 2021, oh my goodness, inventory is moving up, that kind of stuff. Hey guys, we are drastically, I mean, almost 40% less listings and inventory we had from just, pre-pandemic out there. Homes sold are still being sold in a median of 36 days. So we are seeing days on, total sale.
A little longer. It's about 4 weeks right now.
It's tweaking up a little bit. So it's not, but like that, look, in most markets, we'd say 36 days is phenomenal. We're doing great kind of thing. 27% of homes are still selling above list price. So,
Well, for those agents out there, you guys are smart when you are listing the property just slightly below the market. And so what happened is that
or at
market, and this is driving the price up just a little bit, not much, but just a little bit.
Yeah. So now we are seeing where home purchase cancellations are up here in the Atlanta area. In October, we had about 25% of our pending sales that fell out of contract. Now, the good news is that the vast majority of those end up going back into or back under contract again, kind of thing. But you can see that overall pending, contracts that fell out is up significantly from where it was in 2021. It's even up from where it was just in September of this year, kind of thing. 7.3% of our listings had price drops. And so we are seeing where price drops and price reductions are becoming much more of a norm. We're seeing for our folks who come out of the market overpriced, they're having to take a price reduction. And so, for a lot of agents that especially if you came into the business in the last couple of years, like when you start talking about price reductions, folks look at you like you get three heads kind of thing, like price reductions. And it's like this is like a normal thing, right? This is old school. Like everything comes full circle, right? Here we are, circle of life. Here we are. And so, but I wanted to break down let's break down and look at the anatomy of a price reduction. So Zillow just did pulled up some recent data, and I pulled up the data for in the Atlanta area kind of thing. And so found out that most price reductions are made on Thursdays. And we think that that's very smart because when they're made on Thursdays, that's when most agents set up a lot of showings for the weekends, that kind of stuff, that Wednesday night, Thursday morning. You're going to see more people see that then. Making price reductions on Saturday after most of the showings have already been scheduled probably doesn't make much sense. You can see why Saturday is our lowest day on price reductions. Now, here, the best time of year normally for price reductions, we have more price reductions as a percentage in the Atlanta area in July and September. Those are the times when it's more. But now we are seeing an uptick. And so you can kind of see what the activity's been doing. And so we know that the longer that the inventory sits on the market, the more price reductions that we're going to have. But that just kind of shows you like traditionally, which is weird because those are also some of our busiest times. But the folks who put it out there and think, hey, we're just going to take a shot at this, those are the ones who are, if you have sellers who are saying, we just want to try this price, and you don't have a plan to get that price reduction in place, that's where it's really going to hurt them out there. So how much is a normal price reduction? And so overall in the US, it's right at about the average price reduction is right around 3%. And so you can see that's the total price reduction from the original list price to final sale price ends up being right at about 3%. Now here in the Atlanta area, we're at 2.7. So we're slightly more. You can see historically we've been from 2.1 to 2.6. Right now, our price reductions are up a little bit more at 2.7%, but that's just, this is just information for you to have. That doesn't mean that everyone has to, that's the going rate kind of thing. It just kind of is what it is, so that we're aware. And so how long does it take them? Normally it takes sellers about a month after listing for the first price reduction.
And I'm sure that by then they've talked to all their family friends, say, why is it? Of course, the agent's fault, but you guys, honestly, if you will have a conversation with your client, when you do the listing, let them know what the market's doing, it'll make this more palatable when it's time to cut the price.
Well, but
If you're listed too high.
normally it's about 3 weeks. Here in the Atlanta area, it's 19 days. So, and we think that it really should be a little bit quicker. The challenge here is that you've got 2 weeks to get a full price listing. And so if you don't get that reduction done in a timely manner, it's going to hurt you more. And the longer that sits on the market, the more painful that's going to be out there. So, again, this is just fodder for your information here. The average is about 19 days on the market. After about 19 days on the market here in Georgia, that's when we make a price reduction. And so if you have properties that are over 20 days on the market and you're not getting the activity on it,
you gotta let them know.
now, I mean, it's not fun, but we got to be ready to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
So a couple of year-end tax strategies kind of thing. And so a couple of things is if your business did really good this year kind of thing, there's some things that you want to take advantage of before the year is over. I mean, like we're about to go into December. And so if you've had a good year, you may want to look at maybe prepaying for 2023 business expenses. Possibly, going out and buying a vehicle might be the right thing to do right now. I'm being serious, right?
It's all
Right. I mean, but if you're going to do those write-offs, those write-offs need to happen before the end of the year. You can't go back
Absolutely.
in January or February and be like, I meant, hey, Mr. IRS, I meant to do this in December.
any tax shelter IRA or anything like that, 401ks that you have invested, please do that before year end.
Buying your business gifts. I mean, we got Cyber Monday, we just had Black Friday, these kind of things. So if you're going to do like closing gifts and things like that,
go ahead and get it now.
Maybe it'd be a good time to go ahead and get that. If you're going to set up a retirement fund, if you're going to be inviting clients out for, that kind of stuff, now's the time to do it.
Or have a year
write it off. Yeah.
So it's a write-off, y'all.
But now at the same time, when you talk to accountants that work with realtors, they say some of the big problems that we as an industry have is first one is that we don't track our expenses. And listen, Mink's an accountant, right? And we had this.
It takes me and Melissa.
Yeah, well, but back when we were doing the hustle, when we were still buying, selling and doing that kind of thing, that was a big challenge for us even then. And I'm married to an accountant, okay? And so I totally get that, but then also a lot of realtors don't plan their tax situations. They don't understand what's really going on. They don't take the amount of deductions. I see how many of our realtors that just take the standard deduction. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're missing out on so many great opportunities to be able to save yourself some money, that kind of stuff. Ooh, the glare is getting crazy. Sorry, well,
put yours up, baby.
We're gonna get this thing straight for the future. One other big issue that we have is not paying for our taxes ahead of time. You need to be paying your taxes quarterly. Because at the end of the year, that number is so big. It burns. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. You cry. There's your teeth and wear your sackcloth.
You put 20% on in a savings account that you don't touch, and by the time you finish your taxes and everything else, at least you have the ability to pay. So, but I do recommend you go ahead, pay in advance, at least 20%. Of it, and you might get a nice return out of year end.
But listen, we are big fans of hiring accountants. Like I said, even though Ming's an accountant, we don't do tax, right? And so our accountant has never cost us money. They've always saved us money. So, but the time to look at this is not in April. It's not next year. The time to look at this is now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In October, new home sales jumped, which is weird. And everyone thought, man, that's not going to happen.
No, because if you look at all the incentives
for most everybody,
and because you look at all the incentive on the new construction with the closing costs and buy down points, oh my goodness. I mean, the new construction was much better alternative than some of the resales.
Right, so it's up about 7.5% kind of thing. So overall, it's down just like all of the number of transactions are down kind of across the board. But that being said, we need more inventory, and so we've been waiting for the builders to back off a little bit. We're seeing some of the builders back off, but the fact that there's still strong sales there, I mean, we still have, we don't have enough construction right now. We don't have enough homes. So this week, over on Thursday in our Connie's office, we have Matrix Basics. And so
please. I know some of y'all don't do work on FMLS, but please do take some time and learn your product and learn your craft, because it's only going to help you in the long run instead of being stuck at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night and not knowing how to process the transaction.
And then say a little prayer for me. I am going under the knife tomorrow. I'm having my knee replaced tomorrow, so I may not be with you guys next week, but I'm sure Ming will still do the backstory. I mean, I'll be with you in some form or fashion, but probably doped up. And so, but none but love.
You've been training and relaunch.
Yeah, that'll be good. I can't wait to see the crazy things I'll say when you put me on drugs. So,
anyways, thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys very much. I pray you have a wonderful week. And if we can be of any kind of service, please call, text, or smoke signals. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great Monday.